The MLB draft happened last night, which means now is the perfect time to look ahead at the future. On today's show, I'm breaking down the top 30 prospects in the Rangers system, number 21 through 30. All that and more on this episode of Locked On Rangers. Let's get into it.
You are Locked On Rangers, your daily Texas Rangers podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
You are locked onto the Texas Rangers. I'm Bryce Patrick, a cripplingly addicted Texas Rangers fan since 2010, the founder and host for all 5 seasons of this Locked On Rangers podcast. Today is Monday, July 10th, and your Rangers have, I don't know what record, because I'm recording this on Friday before all that happened. Thank you all so much for making Locked On Rangers your first listen every single day. If you're not already, you can follow me on Twitter at Bryce Patrick. You can follow the show at Locked On Rangers. Subscribe on YouTube, where the best way you can help grow the show is to comment nearly any single thing below. Now, before we get into the top 30 prospects, this episode is brought to you by Sleeper. Download the Sleeper app and use promo code LOCKEDON, and you'll get up to a $100 match on your first deposit. Terms and conditions apply. See Sleeper's terms of use for details. Currently operational in over 30 states. Check out Sleeper today. Now, I am doing my top 30 prospects because I will be out of town starting on Sunday afternoon all the way through Wednesday, so you know what happened in the MLB draft, who the Rangers took number 4. Was it exactly who they thought they were going to pick? Did Paul Skeens magically fall to them? I don't know, but you know, and I cannot include those guys in my top 30, but I will get into after at the end of this show, or I guess the end of this series, which will be ending on Wednesday. I'll be getting into where those guys would have ranked if I had done this after the draft. But alas, I'm out of town, so I wanted to give you all 3 episodes, and this feels like the perfect time to do it. The Rangers have a really, really great and really deep system. So in years past, I only did 20, but the last couple years I've been doing 30 because there are 30 legitimate prospects with big league aspirations, more than 30 actually, with big league aspirations in this system. And the Rangers are in a very, very good place. There's a few new names on this list. There's a few old names that are off the list, but I want to start with number 30, a new name on this list, and that is Abimelec Ortiz, a guy who you might not be very familiar with. He is a first baseman slash right fielder slash left field, mostly first baseman. He is a 21-year-old out of Bayamon in Puerto Rico. He went to high school at Carlos Beltran Baseball Academy in Florida, Puerto Rico, which I don't know if that's the city of Florida in Puerto Rico or what that is, but he also went to college at Florida Southwestern State College in Fort Myers, Florida. He was not drafted. I believe that he graduated in 2020, so I think he might have been one of the Rangers under the radar free agent signings, or I guess minor league draft free agent signings after that 2020 class, which they did such a good job of drafting. But this guy, he is 21 years old. He has spent time in Hickory and Down East this year, and he has been absolutely crushing it in both leagues. 60 games combined for him, 258 plate appearances, has 19 home runs, 13 doubles, 3 triples, a slash line of 326, 401, 674. That is an OPS of 1075, and it's even higher at the highest level at Hickory as opposed to where it was in Down East. He's 1.3 years younger than the average Sally League player. He won Sally League Player of the Month in June, where he was absolutely fantastic. And in Hickory, he's hitting 342 with an OPS of 1144. Absolutely insane. 12 home runs in just 31 games. He's been absolutely incredible this year. Kind of a guy who I didn't really think about until the Rangers PR tweeted about him being the player of the month, and I kind of looked more into his numbers and I thought, okay, this guy absolutely mashes. Doesn't play a whole lot of the outfield, actually barely plays the outfield this year. 24 games at first base this year, has played 5 games in right field, 1 game at DH with Down East, and 10 games at DH with Hickory. So pretty much exclusively a first baseman this year. Played a little bit of corner outfield last year with Down East. Didn't have the most impressive numbers last year for Down East. Did still hit 11 home runs, and I believe led the team that year, but only had a 688 OPS. Did really well in his first bit of professional ball in the Rangers Dominican Summer League back in 2021 with a 1,000 OPS. But in order to be a first base prospect with any juice on your name or, prospect status on your name, you got to hit, and you got to hit like crazy. This year he has hit like crazy. Definitely a guy worth keeping an eye on. Definitely a guy who is worth being named to the number 30 spot in this top prospect rankings. Now, number 9, we have quite a few pitchers here and quite a few guys in the lower levels, which is encouraging because there weren't exactly a whole lot of guys at the lower levels. At 29, we have right-handed pitcher Jose Corniell. He was signed by the Rangers out of Santo Domingo in the Dominican Republic. He is 20 years old, born June 22nd, 2003. So he just turned 20, and he is already in Hickory. He has spent time at Down East and Hickory this year. And at 10 games in Down East, he had 43 innings, 56 strikeouts, 2.9 walks per 9, and 11.6 Ks per 9. Also had a 2.70 ERA. And in Hickory, he's been even better. In 3 games, he's pitched 13 innings, 15 strikeouts, and 3 walks, a 2.08 ERA. This guy has already been promoted to Hickory as a 20-year-old. That is really, really encouraging to see from him. He has been very good. 4 innings, and 5 innings are how long he's gone in the 3 Hickory outings. He has thrown a total of 62 pitches in his most recent outing. He's thrown the most he's thrown was 80 pitches, actually 81 pitches. He's done that a couple of times, 81 back on 420 against the Carolina Mudcats, and then 80 pitches in his last outing with the Down East Wood Ducks against the Kannapolis Cannonballers on June 13th. So he got promoted relatively recently. He has done very well in his limited appearances there. Had the first 2 outings, he went 4 innings, allowed just 1 run, and struck out 6 in each of those. Really impressive stuff. 1 walk in the first one, 0 walks in the second one, and in the last outing, he went his only start so far. He went 5 innings, struck out 3, did walk a couple, but only allowed 1 run as well. Really good stuff from him. 60 pitches for him there. Really encouraging to see a young guy doing so well at that level after being promoted pretty quickly. Next guy on this list, we have an outfielder, Alejandro Osuna, the Mexican international, plays left field, right field, center field, listed at 6 foot, 185 pounds, bats and throws left-handed. He is 20 years old, won't turn 21 until October 10th, and he is already in Hickory. He's not putting up the most astounding numbers, but he's really holding his own as a youngster at that league. That is something that really jumps out to me for how well he has done so far. He's 2.3 years younger than the average Sally League player in 61 games. He's got a slash line of 263, on base of 378, and slugging 392. That is a 770 OPS. Just 4 home runs, 14 doubles though in 61 games. The on base is really what sticks out to me here. It is really encouraging to see him put up that kind of on base numbers when he is so young for that league. He's got 7 games in center field this year, 2 games in left, and 44 games in right field for Hickory. He's also got 37 walks to 59 strikeouts, a pretty good rate for a guy who, again, is very, very young for that level. I'm encouraged by what he's done this year and last year. His numbers didn't really stand out all that much before in 2021. He had a 732 OPS as an 18-year-old in Down East, which, again, kind of shows you where the Rangers thought of him if they were already putting him in Down East as an 18-year-old who his only professional experience before that was with Jalisco in the, I believe the Mexican Pacific Winter League, and only 5 games at that when he was 17. That's pretty impressive as to seeing what he's doing so far this year. Last year at Down East, he had an 845 OPS in 320 plate appearances as a 19-year-old. Didn't do as well in Hickory, a 664 OPS and 88 plate appearances there. So that's why he's restarting at the level. I mean, he only had 21 games there, so it's not like he played a whole lot there, but encouraging stuff from him. The Rangers seem to believe in him, and I believe in him as well. Coming up, we're going to get into the next 3 in our bunch, including 3 right-handed pitchers with some interesting profiles. But first, this word from our sponsors. This episode is brought to you by BetterHelp. Sometimes in life we're faced with tough choices, and the path forward isn't always clear. Whether you're dealing with decisions around career, relationships, or anything else, therapy helps you stay connected to what you really want while you navigate life, so you can move forward with confidence and excitement. Trusting yourself to make decisions that align with your values is like anything. The more practice the more you practice it, the easier it gets. If you're thinking about starting therapy, you should give BetterHelp a try. Therapy has been great for me, and I encourage anybody who is looking to start therapy. It is definitely something that is worth your time. It's entirely online, designed to be convenient, flexible, and suited to your schedule. Just fill out a brief questionnaire to get matched with a licensed therapist and switch therapists at any time with no additional charge. Let therapy be your map with BetterHelp. Visit betterhelp.com/lockedonmlb today to get 10% off your first month. That's BetterHelp, HELP.com/lockedonmlb. Shout out to the Everydayers for making Locked On Rangers your first listen every single day. On tomorrow's show, I'll be continuing this series going through the middle third of my top 30 prospects. The Rangers take on the Nationals this weekend. Oh, nope. They take on, I believe, the Tampa Bay Rays this weekend. You can catch every pitch with the hometown broadcast on SiriusXM. Just download the SXM app and search Rangers. Now, we are on to the number 27 prospect in my top 30. This is right-handed pitcher Aiden Curry. He is 21 years old, pitching in down east with the Wood Ducks. He was signed as a draft free agent after 2020, so yet another guy the Rangers seem to have nailed in that 2020 signing class because he did not get drafted in that 5-round draft, but he is a 6'5", 185-pound right-handed pitcher who has been fantastic for the Down East Wood Ducks this year. Wasn't quite as standout last year in his short time with the ACL or in the Complex League in 2021. His numbers were honestly really bad in 2021 as an 18-year-old, a 13.79 ERA in 15 2/3 innings pitched. But this year, he's been absolutely fantastic, a 2.73 ERA in 12 games for Down East. He is 1.7 years younger than the average Down East pitcher. He's got 52 2/3 innings under his belt, and he's got 68 strikeouts to just 18 walks. That is 11.6 strikeouts per 9 to 3.1 walks per 9 and 0.5 home runs per 9, 5 hits per 9. He is just not allowing anything this year. It's good to see him have such success. And again, I say this with a lot of the prospects, but you got to look at the level and their age, and that will tell you how the Rangers feel about these guys. And the success that he is having this year is really, really encouraging. So far, he has been fantastic. He's had a couple of outings where he has gone 6 innings. He's not throwing a whole bunch of pitches, but still able to go fairly deep into games. He has thrown at most 86 pitches. That was when he threw 3 2/3 innings. Not a great outing for him, just 1 earned run. In that, wasn't able to go super deep and had 3 walks. That's the most he's had in a start this season. But his best start of the year came against the Columbia Fireflies back on May 31st. 6 innings, just 2 hits, no runs, 1 walk, and 9 strikeouts. He had 16 strikes looking and 12 swings and misses on 80 pitch. Really, really impressive stuff for the youngster. Again, we haven't seen him pitch all that much so far this year. He has not pitched since June 29th. I don't think that he is on the IL that I'm seeing. Yeah, no, he just hasn't pitched in a little while. He is still very young, and he's got I think a lot of potential. He's got that ideal frame of being 6'5". He can definitely add a little bit more weight. Maybe he'll start to add a little bit more velocity on his fastball. But at 21 years old, already pitching in full season ball and doing very, very well. I wouldn't be surprised if he made a promotion to Hickory by the end of the season. But that roster or that rotation is pretty stacked as well, with the guy who I just talked about like 3 seconds ago, in Jose Corniell, who has already been promoted to Hickory. So we'll see if Aiden Curry joins him there later in the season, but very exciting stuff for him. Another guy who is a pitcher, a right-handed pitcher, Emiliano Teodo, a 6'1" righty listed at 165 pounds. He is kind of a bit of a string bean. He is 22 years old. Just turned 22 in February. His birthday is actually on Valentine's Day. So if you remember, wish him a happy birthday on Valentine's Day, I guess, if you're thinking about it. But in Hickory this year, he has been okay, not great so far. He is still a starting pitcher at this point. I don't know how much longer that is going to hold up, and the walks have really caught up to him a bit this year. He's got a 4.87 ERA in 7 games. 20 and a third innings pitched, 15 walks to 22 strikeouts. Now, last year, the numbers were much better, just 4.7 walks per nine, and this year it's at 6.6. The Ks per nine last year were over 12. This year they're at 9.7, which is still good, but not anything that's fantastic. The thing about him is he's got a 90-mile-an-hour curveball that he can throw for strikes, and he's got a lot of break on it as well. He's also got a fastball that touches triple digits, which is very, very exciting. He doesn't really know exactly where it's going. Obviously, you can see by the walks, but there is a lot of potential there. Throws some absolute gas and a nasty, nasty curveball. The changeup is also pretty good, probably even ahead of his fastball, even though the velocity on that fastball is so good. He's an interesting pitcher, and if he can get that walk problem sorted out, he might even be a starter. He probably is destined for a back-end relief role at his most likely ceiling. I mean, his absolute ceiling is he figures out the walk problem and then starts throwing a bunch of strikes and is a nasty starter. But that's probably not happening with him. But the ceiling in terms of his ability to be probably a really dominant relief pitcher, if he also needs to get that walk problem a little bit more under control. But the stuff is nasty. It's definitely something to dream on. Not having the best season, but still I am a believer in Emiliano Teodo for sure. The number 25 prospect in my prospect ranking is Dane Acker, the 6'2", 189-pound right-handed pitcher. He is 24 years old, was born in College Station, was originally a second-round pick by the Diamondbacks, then a fourth-round pick by the A's out of the University of Oklahoma. He went to Rice, he went to San Jacinto College, and then went to the University of Oklahoma, where he was pretty darn good that year. Not a whole lot of film on him, only 4 starts there. He has had some struggles with injuries, and the Rangers made a big trade for him. I believe he was a part of the Elvis Andrus trade, just kind of a throw in there, or maybe he was a part of the, I was about to say Cliff Lee, no, the Mike Minor trade with Oakland. But the Rangers seem to have gotten a pretty good one so far this year. He has pitched in 6 games, a 2.11 ERA in 21 and a third innings. Does have 10 walks at 4.2 per 9. Not horrible, but not great. And also has 25 strikeouts. That is in his time with Hickory. He has been promoted to Frisco, and in his first outing there, went 4 innings, allowed 3 earned runs, a home run, only 1 walk in 4 innings, and 5 strikeouts. So not the prettiest Frisco debut, but hey, the Rangers are a believer in his stuff if they can keep him healthy. Seems like he has got some really, really nasty stuff, and the Rangers might have absolutely gotten a huge steal from the A's. And both of those deals are looking like an absolute steal for the Rangers. I believe it was the deal that Dustin Harris came over from the A's, and I mean the Rangers got Jonah Heim in that trade for I believe that was the Elvis Andrus trade. So the Rangers might have done over the A's pretty badly if Dane Acker turns out to be what the Rangers thought they were getting when they traded for him. Nice to see him just healthy in general. That is a good thing, because last year he did not pitch very much at all, just 25 and 2/3 innings combined. And in the year before, in 2021, he only pitched 6 1/3 innings. So not a whole lot of professional experience, just 57 total professional innings, 18 games started for him across 3 seasons. He has been healthier than ever this year. Good to see him on the mound and going out there and doing pretty well. Hopefully his next start for Frisco will be just a little bit better, but the potential is there for this guy to dream on for sure. Coming up, we're going to look at the last 4 prospects in this middle third. We're going to get into all of that. But first, let's word from our sponsors. This episode is brought to you by Sleeper. Our new sponsor, Sleeper, is a fantasy, sports, and real money gaming app focused on bringing people together through sports and gaming. Sleeper has the fastest growing fantasy platform in the world with over 5 million active users. At Sleeper, it's not just about sports, it's about building personal connections and lasting memories. With Sleeper, predict the hottest baseball stats like home runs, hits, strikeouts, and much more to cash in on your daily fantasy baseball skills. Entries can be made in 30 seconds or less. It is really just that easy. Download Sleeper in your app store and use promo code LOCKEDON, and you'll get up to a $100 match on your first deposit. Terms and conditions apply. See Sleeper's terms of use for details. Currently operational in over 30 states. Check out Sleeper today. Shout out to the Everydayers for making Locked On Rangers your first listen every single day. On Wednesday's show, I'll be finishing up this series, re-ranking the top 30 prospects in the Rangers system. Texas takes on the Tampa Bay Rays this week. You can catch every pitch with the hometown broadcast on SiriusXM. Just download the SXM app and search Rangers. Now, we are at the number 24 prospect in the Rangers system, and that is Zak Kent, right-handed starting pitcher for the Rangers. He has been in AAA this season, has not pitched due to injury, which is really frustrating. Otherwise, he might already be in the Rangers bullpen right now. He is listed at 6'3", 208 pounds. The Rangers drafted him in the 9th round out of the 2019 MLB draft from VMI, the Virginia Military Institute. Really interesting guy. Has got 5 legitimate pitches that are all weapons, that all play really, really well off each other and all come out of the same arm slot. I think eventually he could be a starting pitcher in the big leagues. I think his ceiling is probably something around a number 4 starting pitcher in your rotation. But I think the more likely role, the role that I kind of wanted to see him in this year, was in that Dane Dunning relief role, coming in 2-3 innings. Actually, it was more of a Brock Burke from last year kind of role. Come in, be the bridge guy, use him every 3rd day or something. He'll go 2 innings, maybe 3 innings if you really need him to. He can face the lineup one time through and be very effective. And I think that could have been a great role for him this year. But unfortunately, injuries have kept him out basically all season. He only pitched 1 outing, 3 innings, allowed 2 hits, 1 walk, and 3 strikeouts, and no runs in the PCL. 1 start for Round Rock, and just that's it. That's all he's done. Last year in Round Rock, he had 5 starts after getting promoted from AA Frisco. The second half was much kinder to him. Wasn't great in the first half. Really broke out in the second half of 2021. Actually had him on the show. He's the only prospect I've ever had on the show a couple years back in December after that breakout year. But in 5 starts with Round Rock in 2022, he had a 1.67 ERA, 27 innings, 13 walks to 23 strikeouts. Was very effective at keeping the runners from scoring, and I think could do that at the big league level, could really help the Rangers out in their bullpen, and I think that stuff would tick up even higher. It sits around the low to mid 90s, and I think that in a couple innings of work, as opposed to trying to go 5 or go through the order multiple times, I think that stuff could really tick up and be even nastier. His slider is incredibly effective, and he kind of pitches first based on that slider, as opposed to pitching off the fastball, which is really, really interesting. So I really like him a lot. I've been really bummed that he has been hurt this year, but I do still think that he can help out this Rangers team whenever he gets back from his injury. Number 23, we are going a little younger on this one. We have Danyer Cueva, the shortstop / second baseman, who was signed out of Los Gallos in Venezuela. He is 19 years old, listed at 6'1", 160 pounds, bats left-handed, throws right-handed, and has had just an okay season for Down East this year. This is his first season of full season ball. The 19-year-old in full season ball is pretty impressive, especially since he only had a couple of years of professional experience before this. He played in the Complex League last year, put up some really impressive numbers, an 859 OPS in the ACL, 44 games, 189 plate appearances last year, 5 bombs, 10 doubles. This year in 61 games with Down East, he is 2 years younger than the average player, and the numbers have been just okay. He's got a 266 batting average, a 312 on base, slugging at 395, a 707 OPS for those of you doing the math at home, 4 bombs, 3 triples, and 10 doubles, 16 walks to 84 strikeouts. Not exactly ideal, striking out about a third of the time, but still holding his own at full season ball as a 19-year-old. Again, that is what tells you the most about this guy. He has mostly played shortstop in his minor league career, in 111 games at shortstop to 50 at second base and just 1 game at third base. This year, he's got primarily second base, 39 games at second base and 22 games at shortstop this season, whereas he had 40 games at shortstop last year. So I think that's more about the personnel that the Rangers have in the Down East Wood Ducks team than it says about him. Maybe he's more of a second baseman, but you want to see a little bit more pop from that bat. He had a week where I believe he had all 3 of his 4 home runs, and I think I named him minor league player of the week. Definitely some potential there, but would like to see him be having a little bit better of a season. I think I knocked him down just a couple of places from where he was last year. But still, guy with a lot of potential, still very young, and having an okay season. Would like to see him break out, hopefully, in the second half. Number 22 on my list, we have outfielder Trevor Hauver, who was acquired from the New York Yankees in the Joey Gallo trade. He was drafted by the Yankees out of Arizona State in the third round back in 2020. So he was a part of that 2020 draft class, and man, it's looking like everybody the Rangers got from that was a part of that 2020 draft class has been very impressive. This year he has been in Frisco at 24 years old. He's played 63 games, 272 plate appearances this year, 8 home runs, 10 doubles, and 2 triples, hitting .250, on base of .373, and slugging .420. That is a .792 OPS. He also had an .812 OPS in 16 Arizona Fall League games last year, and in Frisco in 21 games in 2022, he had a .924 OPS. The scouting report on this guy is his defense isn't great. Maybe he's a first baseman, maybe he's a left fielder, but the on base is very, very good. The raw power is very nice. He hadn't tapped into it as much as you would like. We're starting to see that a little bit more from him. He had a multi-homer game this week, so hopefully that can be a sign of him tapping into that power a little bit more in games. The plate discipline is fantastic. Like I said, those 43 walks in 272 plate appearances is very, very nice. In 2022, for the full season, he had 93 walks to 112 strikeouts. That is very, very encouraging. He also had 17 home runs. So this is the kind of guy that you like. He's kind of a 3 true outcome guy. With not a lot of defense, but the pop is real. The on base is very, very good and has been for the entirety of his minor league career a 440 or a 395 career on base in 265 minor league games. In college, that was 426 in 3 college seasons. So yeah, the guy can walk. The guy can hit for some power. Can he field? Can he hit for average? Don't worry about it. He can do those other things, and you don't need somebody to do absolutely everything. At number 21, the last one on the list for today, we have Davis Funzel, the third baseman / shortstop / left fielder, basically a utility guy who I left off my list last year, I think both midseason and preseason. Actually, might have had him on there on preseason. But this year, he has broken out the power bat in spades. 17 home runs for him this year. He was a supplemental first-round draft pick by the Rangers, 41st overall in that 2019 draft out of Baylor. He is listed at 5'10", 206 pounds. He basically plays every infield position, started to play the outfield a little bit more this season, but the power has been coming. Like I said, 17 bombs in 73 games for Round Rock this year, and the underlying numbers under that are also pretty impressive. The on-base is at 388 this year, a 909 OPS, also 16 doubles for him. He's hitting the spit out of the baseball. We always knew that he could defend really, really well. I wasn't sure if he was going to be able to play shortstop because he was a third baseman in college, but he's played shortstop pretty darn well. The glove rates out as pretty solid. I thought if the bat was a little bit better that he might have contended with Josh Smith to be the Rangers' basically backup shortstop, and well, Rangers have Ezekiel Duran for that, and also Josh Smith for that. And well, if he keeps hitting like this, the Rangers might be a trade chip worth acquiring for somebody at the deadline. I think he really is. I think he's a guy who could provide major league value. If the Rangers had an injury to Josh Smith, I think that Davis Wendzel would probably be the first guy that I would want to call up. He's showing that pop from the right side that I didn't see that much of coming out of college. I didn't really expect him to show a whole lot of power. I mean, the most home runs he had in a season at Baylor was 8. He did that literally all 3 years. He had 8 home runs, and 8 home runs in all 3 of his Baylor seasons. And, you know, this is the first year he's even got, actually, this is the second year he's got double-digit home runs. He did that last year in Round Rock, 17 home runs in 85 games for Round Rock, but only had a 685 OPS in AAA last season. But this year he has done it by hitting for average, hitting for on base, or getting on base, and doing some damage to baseballs. Really encouraging stuff from the former first round pick. Definitely established a lot of value this year, and I think could be a key piece. Not the number 1 piece in any trade, not the number 2 piece, but definitely a really, really nice sweetener for the Rangers to include in whatever bullpen trade they are probably going to pull, or maybe even starting pitching trade they might pull at the deadline this year. That's going to do it for today's show. Thank you all so much for listening and subscribing. And until next time, don't forget to enjoy first place Texas Rangers baseball.